That's director Anthony Fabian for his Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, presently still doing the rounds on the big screen. And sacre bleu, why would I be talking senior Sunday cinema on this channel? It was all in that verbose CNE pilot manifesto. Nothing's off the table here. We're broadening our horizons, man. Take a deep drag and discover your inner nana. We talk anything from Agnes Varda to This Is Sparta on See No Evil. But something I'd immediately clear up about Mrs. Harris. She's a wily old dog. You absolutely would be forgiven for thinking this was just another forgettable Alder fodder film, a 90-minute feel-good distraction as good as a brisk game of bingo. But I found myself pleasantly surprised that Mrs. Harris seems intent on saying something too, and not just leaving you with a momentary glow. She's a domestic worker in the 50s who finally faces the sad fact the war took her husband. During the sorrowful low, she has a kind of a transformative encounter with a Christian Dior dress at a client's house, enchanted by its beauty. Possibly as some sort of catharsis, a shot at re-inviting magic and love back into her life, she obsessively resolves to go to the designer house herself and buy one of her own. With her husband's war pension, a little bit of elbow grease, and a lot of hustle, she sets her mission in motion and once in Paris encounters different obstacles and opportunities. All in some bedrock of different types of romances, yada yada. And what do I mean by those different types of romances? For instance, the younger staff at Dior are adoringly swept up in this nobody's dream, quietly rooting for and abetting her efforts, even against their superior, in the legend Isabelle Huppert, 2016 Oscar nominee for Elle, who turns her nose up at and turns away this commoner comfort couture. This sense of a magic she sparks, of belief in the hearts of the workers, and their solidarity with her path is instantly hella endearing, actually. Cross-generational and intra-class respect for an age group usually relegated to a tool of the younger love in other movies, a fairy godmother, etc., and nothing more. In fact, just this year, at least 2 other big movies recognized seniors' exercise of agency, grabbing destiny by the danglers, quite literally in Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, which was excellent, and 3,000 Years of Longing, which was lacking. I think it's taken me a while to just get to the lead's name because how to do justice to such an impressive actress. Lesley Manville elevates this entire movie at least 2 stars, single-handedly. Mrs. Harris could have easily fallen victim to that forgettable fodder wheelhouse, if not for the acting force she brings to screen. Fully didn't expect myself to get foggy-eyed when she reads the letter about her husband. And any sequence where she's walking on a cloud, enamored with a dress, or in an altered state through the cut and trim of the atelier, the fancy word I learned from this movie for designer workshop, she evokes this exact thrill in you too. Even I was legitimately starry-eyed at the prettiness of it all, and I know precisely jack shit about fashion. I've shown up to a red carpet event with naught but a bargain bin copy of Jackie Chan's masterpiece, The Tuxedo, only to learn people actually wear these and aren't spies when they do. And they still wouldn't let me put it on. And while Lesley Manville is absolutely now one of the most underappreciated greats, some of the dreaminess is down to the clever photography of Felix Wiedemann, bringing dresses beautifully to life too. And serious props must also go to costume designer Jenny Bevan, having stood and whooped for her in 2016 for her Fury Road Oscar win. Seamless interplay with the cinematography, moods and worlds all of their own, these designs, all from her valiantly absorbing over a decade of Dior drafts. Speaking of worlds, in a social sense, there are 2 that catch refreshing daylight for a mainstream movie: London and Paris, and Class Warfare. It's nice seeing London represented diversely, and salt-of-the-earth blue-collar community relate warmly on public transport, in cozy back-alley pubs, and London dance halls. On the Paris front, it must have taken heroic will to not include iconic stuff like the Eiffel Tower as a staging point. Year 2, this is not the fairy tale Paris we've been fed for years. She is welcomed by vagabonds who gleefully part ways with, and remember, in Paris, the worker is king. Then she's straight into garbage-strewn streets and militant demonstrations by waste workers out to correct what's owed. These are pretty underseen worlds, even in real life, where in mainstream media there's little out there on Gilets jaunes, the firefighter strike, and now, as I speak at you, the cost of living protests all over France. And interestingly, while her life's as much a struggle as anyone else's, it's not the defining character of her journey. No suffering in scenes of paid housekeeping in which she takes pride and is quite methodological about. Any indignity arises in dehumanization and wage theft by her boss. and not in the labor itself. And that's the other world worth shedding light on. The underseen, spoken over labor of domestic work. Recent empowerers shed light on two, like The Shape of Water, which I really like. It's not without its superfluous fluff, but the cast is strong through it all. Take your mom or gran to the Sentimental 7 and go ahead and catch a gentle cry yourself, maybe. Now here I am, honored as hell to be chatting with a co-star you might most fondly remember as The Matrix's Merovingian, Lambert Wilson. Strength.